that led us all to the showstopper, the main event.
Can I preamble that?
Sure.
Okay. So as we're coming to the hotel today, I'm walking into the hotel and I see Denis Villeneuve sitting there, and I went up
At a
to
cafe?
talk.
Yeah,
he
the
was-
cafe.
That cafe right for the opening, and I walk up, and I said hello. He's sitting alone with a female executive, and I said, you know what you should do? You should have a sing along, and you should do the War Haka from Dune 3. And he thought he laughed. He laughed like more than I thought he should. And then I told him Sicario was playing on Netflix. It was #1. And I said, you're the man, and left. No picture. Then I told Cody.
Yeah, and Cody goes running.
I told Cody, I said, I just met Denis Villeneuve. And Cody goes running. And Cody, he's not here to say it, but he went and saw Denis Villeneuve. And Denis Villeneuve asked, well, who are you? You know, what's going on? Well, I'm an Olympian, gold medalist or whatever he is.
Yeah.
And Denis Villeneuve hugged him.
Stood up and gave him a hug.
Hugged Cody.
Cody has the luck, the biggest luck, because last year when we brought him to Cinemacon with us, he literally, Ana de Armas ran into him and stepped on his shoe and scuffed his new Nikes, and which of course to him was completely worth it. And so she held his arm or whatever, all that kind of stuff. Then this year he gets Denis Villeneuve to give him a hug.
He's also an incredibly handsome guy and very charismatic, and he looks fantastic because he's been working out and all that. And
You're talking about Cody or Denis?
Cody.
Denis,
No, and it was,
jacked as shit.
but it was so funny because when I told him, he looked at me when I told him, because we saw him yesterday.
Yeah.
And I kind of freaked out. Like I did a little weird squealing boy thing, but it was not good. So I didn't walk up to him. But this time I figured, I'm cool. It's cool. I can walk up. But Cody was like, I got to go talk to him. I got to do it. And then he couldn't find him at first and called me. He sent me a text or something. He said, where is he? And I said, it's right next to the door of the casino. Come on, just go. And he did.
So the lights go down.
But this is why
Yeah.
I had to tell the story.
So good.
The lights go down, and I can see in the darkness that there are a bunch of costume people coming down the aisles, and the lights start to come up, and the Dune War Haka starts.
And I turned to you guys and I go,
That's why Denis laughed when you mentioned it to him.
yes.
So they start this whole thing with about 60 Fremen-dressed warriors on stage.
It was,
dude,
awesome. And they're showing clips. They're showing clips on the screen, and it was so cool.
as they're doing the big War Hawk and all that kind of stuff. And so it was a great way to open it. So then they bring out Denis Villeneuve. And I turned to Anne and I said, I would love to hear Denis Villeneuve and Georges St. Pierre having a conversation.
Yes. Doctor.
And so George St. Pierre sent Anne a birthday message, and he also congratulated her on her doctorate. But I loved, because George is a fellow Canadian, right? So George is, by the way, he says, congratulations on your doctorate.
They sound the same.
So Denis and George, GSP, they sound quite like I just say, now whenever I mention her doctor, I say doctorate. So anyway, I would love to hear those two talk. So then they bring out Jason Momoa, Zendaya, and Timothée Chalamet. And they all come out. And, they really put in perspective, if you forget about this, is that he said, by the time this movie comes out, this has been 10 years
Incredible.
that we've been working on and making these
Wow,
movies.
Timothy and Zendaya, like that's
Yeah.
By the way, can we talk about Zendaya's dress?
She's just.
It was stunning.
No,
Stunning.
and also the
it was
audience-
themed. It was a themed Arrakis
Arrakis
Fremen
band.
dress that was, I mean, you got to give it up. She, the
her
way,
stylist,
Her stylist is great.
unbelievable.
That's right. Yeah.
La
They-
Roche.
La Roche.
They always are on point, making sure that her dress is just as much promoting whatever she's promoting
Honestly,
as she is.
The audience
So good.
reaction to Zendaya was like Tom
So
Cruise
loud.
level.
Oh.
Like
Yeah.
people were so psyched.
She's there,
So
man.
psyched.
She's
That
Which
was
again makes me ask, why did Sony not bring her out when they were talking about Spider-Man
I don't
yesterday?
know. Maybe she was
She's
she
here
was
in
at
town.
Coachella yesterday. Who knows what she was doing?
Anyway, so the three of them come out and they talk about how this has been 10 years and that this is like, and if you had any questions about it, they made it very definitive. This is the end. This wraps it up. Denis now moving on. This is over. It's done from this movie. And Denis like, Timothée Chalamet was like, yeah, I basically grew up with Denis. and I've been making films with Zendaya for 10 years and like all this kind of stuff. And you forget that, right? And then Timothée Chalamet makes the comment about, listen, I've got to make movies with the one.
He
talk
calls
about
him the
Denis.
real Paul Atreides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the real Paul Atreides. He keeps referring to him as the one. Like, I got to make movies with the one, Denis Villeneuve. And he said, if all you movie theater owners were
If we
smart,
were smart. Yeah,
we would
everybody
build
in
a
the
shield around Denis Villeneuve. Because he's it. He's the
And
guy.
he makes movies for the theatrical experience.
Yes, he's hardcore, and he gets very pissy when Warner Brothers were screwing the filmmakers over and pulling all their films and putting them all on streaming and stuff like that. He was like, remember that open letter Denis Villeneuve wrote about Warner Brothers, the Warner Brothers that was under AT&T's ownership at the time. That was spicy. But at any rate, so then Patton Oswalt's interviewing them, and it's a really good interview. And then he's like, "Did you bring something to show us?" And he goes, "Well, this one I made for the fans."
No. He said he made the first 2 Dunes for him.
Yeah. And then this one I made
This
for the
one is
fans.
for the fans.
And he called this one a thriller.
Yes, he said the first one. How do you describe the first one?
Was like personal.
Yeah, like biographical.
Yeah, the second one was
a war movie.
A war movie. He said this one is a thriller.
Yeah.
And he said, because this one's for the fans, I have a responsibility to make this one the best one yet and all this kind of stuff. And then he says, we're going to show you the first 7 minutes of Dune 3. And I got a boner when he said that.
Me too.
And the lights go down. The Warner Brothers logo comes up. And by the way, when they said that and the Warner Brothers logo came up, I started my watch. He said it was the first 7 minutes of the movie. It was the first 8 minutes and 15 seconds.
Okay.
Just wanted to let you know.
Well, he didn't include the Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
logo.
maybe he didn't include that stuff, which is good. So he lets us know that the movie starts 17 years after the ending of Dune 2. So he says, as you can imagine,
longer than the book, I think.
Yeah.
I think so, which is already thankfully him taking some departures from the mediocre book. And he says, so a lot of things happen to people in 17 years and like damage and whatever. And by the way, Timothée Chalamet refers to Paul as the dark emperor of the universe.
Yeah.
Who's kind of on a hunt for redemption. So anyway, the movie opens with a shot from space of
Before that, there's sound effects that are over the opening credits, and it sounded like they were the thumpers that are summoning the
Sandworm.
but it wasn't a single one.
Nope.
It got to the point where it was like
Multiple.
boom, 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 and
I was stressed out. Before
I
the
was
review
like
of Freight.
freaked out. I was like, what? Because it didn't have any like, it didn't have the Fremen noise at the beginning where it has. It didn't have that. It was just the thumping. And at first it was a single thumping, and then it was like a cacophony of. I'm like, what is?
it was troop carriers launching,
dude?
and then this audible effect of all these massive troop carriers launching from a ship, but as soon as they clear the dock, silence.
Yeah,
because they're in
well,
space, and the effect was so good.
And oh my! And the thing is, all the effects. The Dune movies are peak verisimilitude.
Yeah.
There has never been fantasy or science fiction films that have no cracks in them. No, sometimes you see miniature shots or matte paintings. Not these movies. That shot was amazing.
So what we're getting as then all these now these are Fremen on these troop transports, clearly going to conquer one of the planets that's still standing against Emperor Atreides, Emperor Paul Atreides. So they go through the atmosphere and they're cutting, even just the approach is dramatic and intense.
And the look of the ships.
Oh, the ships are amazing.
So cool.
And the Fremen are inside and they're going, the Fremen, some of them are praying, some or whatever. And then you see Stilgar is on the ship, right? And they're going down. So this is serious. Stilgar's there, right? So then they get down to the surface of the planet. And all I can say, and you're kind of overwhelmed by how many of these troop
And you've never,
transports are landing.
again, like with Dune, you've never seen anything that's looked like this in a science
such a
fiction film
unique
before.
environment that they land on whatever this planet is, right? then the best way I can describe what happens over the next 5 minutes.
And it's raining, by the way.
And it's raining. Like water falls from the sky.
Which I was talking to And afterwards. I was like, if you are a Fremen from Arrakis, and the concept of rain is such a mind to somebody that grew up and lived in Arrakis, that you are not only you have like the D-Day like storming the beach like stress, but couple that with a concept that you can't even imagine is coming from the sky.
Yeah.
Has to be such a trip that plays into this like religious fervor.
And that played out so well. Like these guys who are seeing
half of them are
rain.
psyched. Half of them are like, "What is
Some
happening?
are crying.
Why is there water in the sky?"
Yeah.
So again, the best way I can describe the following 5 minutes is the beginning of Saving Private Ryan on fucking steroids. It is, they start the charge right, and then all I can describe it as is like some kind, like whoever they're attacking, some kind of defensive rail guns start firing on them. And it is the most awe-inspiring thing I've ever seen on the screen. And I'm just like, oh my God. And these guys are getting mowed down and cut down. And then they're calling down firepower from orbit. And then they're trying to launch shield breakers and they're not working. And oh my God, it was so crazy.
It was insanity. And on a level we've never seen before. Star Wars has nothing on what we just saw tonight. Nothing.
Well, Star Wars, to be fair, Star Wars doesn't try to be this either.
No, but still, I mean,
there was a sense of realism to it. Like you felt this; these are space soldiers, but you felt the horror of it, like the intensity and the horror.
And the
of
thing
it
is, our guys were with them, and they get eviscerated. Not totally, but
so mowed
my
down.
God, it was just
When these guns are firing, though, I was like, I gasped. I was like,
This was like put that like beach scene from like Edge of Tomorrow, like at night, and then just like
In the
ramp it
rain.
to 1,000
It was-
in the rain with like rail guns that you can't see where they're coming. They're rail guns from space that are just mowing people down.
And they also made like these weapons at first, like the Fremen are zeroing in on their binoculars, and you'd see like a gun come up out of the sand and go,
and like spraying weaponry.
and then they're what they're fighting are these gigantic, like what are these things and how big are they? It was
Well, there were structures. By the way, just quickly, I know it's like 1 a.m. on the East Coast. We even now have like over 4,000 people in the live stream. So thank you to everybody for joining us
And
for
that's
this.
not counting Europe and around the world. That's just the East Coast. So anybody in Europe, God bless you. Around the world.
it was jaw dropping.
No, and look, I took a second and so Soul was sitting on my right, and then I had Ann, Cody, Taylor, and Rob. So I took a quick look, and I swear I wish I took a picture. All of them, their jaws were.
But yeah,
Everybody's mouth was open, like looking at what we were looking on screen. Denis Villeneuve is the greatest filmmaker in the world today.
Yeah.
I'm like, all due respect to Christopher Nolan, who is like, it's 1 and 1A. Denis Villeneuve is the greatest filmmaker in the world today. Like this was. Now I'll probably say the same thing about Christopher Nolan once we see the Odyssey. Tomorrow when we see the
Every
Odyssey.
day there's going to be the greatest filmmaker.
but you know what though? There's something different. It hits harder.
Yeah.
You know, there's an energy and there's something going on in his Dune films. From the sound design to the visuals. I mean, dude, my jaw was on the floor because I've never seen anything like this ever.
This is also, I remember seeing the first Dune or hearing about him about to tackle the first Dune and being so hyped in my heart and like so desperate for the first Dune success, especially once I heard like he only got like halfway. And I was like, I was praying so badly for the first Dune to succeed because I needed part 2 so desperately. And this feels like such a victory lap / celebration / culmination of like 10 years of his life / like gift to the fans / like where he wishes. It's almost like half, I get the suspicion that it's almost like half fan fiction of like where he wants to depart and maybe like take a new thread like from the book that I like. The Dune trilogy, potentially, like I have been so progressively hyped for each subsequent film that where part 3 is now taking me makes me a little uneasy for my health and well-being, like leading up to where this could be.
I don't know if I could
If
take
this delivers what Denis is saying and what I think he's capable of, like this is my like sci-fi nerd like dream like fangasm like to 100.
I don't know if I can take 2 hours and 20 minutes of this.
I like I'm telling you, man, at the first 8 minutes and 15 seconds.
And remind you, he said this is a thriller, but it's also fast paced.
He said more action than any of the other ones.
And then they showed after that, the opening, then there was a montage, a longer montage. And there was
of stuff we've never seen before.
There was glimpses in there that made my jaw go further down.
And they're holding back because they have shown very little of Aaliyah. How do you say her name?
Aaliyah.
Aaliyah fighting.
Also, they called her like psychotic, or
and
his psychotic sister.
Yeah, like,
but they did have the one shot of her bloody, like blood's all.
Yeah,
it's game over when they start to show that footage.
I'm
that's
so
not even
curious because, like, as Campea reminded me prior going in that like one of the departures in part 2 was just like I guess how little the sister was shown in the movie part 2 versus the book, and to see like. My curiosity with where Denis takes that character in part 3 in terms of like what she's capable of, and also just Ann and I are also reading Messiah right now.
Oh yeah,
we're trying to like get through your book before getting.
You should also read Children of Dune as well.
What they touch on in this book is like if you think about like how psychotic it might be to gain full awareness of the universe in the womb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is what the sister does. She becomes a Reverend Mother before she's even born.
Right.
Like, what a mind F that must be to, like, you are born with the full realization of the universe in your entire bloodline. Like, what that could do to you as a character, like...
And guess what? Mama is not even, she's going to play that up too, because Rebecca Ferguson in the mom role is like, nah, you stay crazy. Like, you have that awareness. Protect Paul.
Yeah.
Like,
we did
that's
not
your
see
job.
the Navigator. I saw someone asking about the Navigator.
No,
well, you saw the, whatever it is they travel around in.
The guild, the guild highliner.
Yeah, comes in. But, listen, you guys know that I think that Dune 2 is the greatest motion picture of the last decade. I don't think there's been a film in the last 10 years that equals it. And I have been all like, listen, Dune 3 doesn't need to be as good as Dune 2. It just, as long as it's as good as Dune 1, whatever, this might be the crown jewel. Like, again, we've only seen 8 minutes. I know I'm acknowledging we're getting ahead of ourselves. But I could not help but walk out of that auditorium and go, this might be the best one.
And I just want to say huge thank you to Denis, because a lot of times when you have these movies that are broken up into 1, 2, 3, you could have years in between these movies. And he made it known. He recognized, like, I could have made this a few years from now. And he was like, no, I had it in me. I had the passion in me to do it now.
And he recognized the appetite from the fans.
And the appetite from the fans.
He called out the fans in there.
He was planning to do another movie first before doing the next Dune. And he said, the appetite was for the fans was just too strong. I had to do it now. And I'm glad he did. And then we get to see his James Bond movie, which they might talk about tomorrow during the Amazon presentation. Right. Maybe they will, maybe they won't.
There's a lot of people in the chat having fun with buses. There was no buses in the Dune. I guess there was
the Navigators are kind of like space bus drivers.
Kind of space buses.
They are the space bus drivers.
No, they're space moving vans.
Space moving vans. That actually is probably a more appropriate description of it. And by the way, listen, while we were out there, you could feel it in the room. You could feel it in the room. All 5,000 people in that room.
The lights went down and you saw like 60 fucking Fremen like coming up to the stage. Like, it was over.
But by the time it was over, though, by the time it ended, you could just, like, everybody was just in awe. Everybody was just in awe.
Also, the Fremen never left. Like, the Fremen were there like the whole time.
Yeah. But there were people going, oh my God.
Yeah.
Was that me?
Yeah, it was amazing. The chitter chatter you could hear around.